Hi YouTube, this is the second part to my first video where we started building the minis from the Warhammer starter set. We got the Tyranid Prime built and slightly based. It'll look better once we're done painting. And we did some slight conversions to the Terminator Captain. Gave him a Terminator helmet and a power scythe. And this part will get them all primed and painted and compare them to some of my previous minis that I've gotten painted. I guess there ain't nothing to it but to do it. So let's get after it. Alright, so we're just out in the garage where I do all my priming on my totally professional paint booth, which totally isn't the hood of a 1974 F-250. And what I been using for priming, because I'm kind of lazy, is just good old Rust-Oleum flat black. It's perfectly mediocre. And if you're careful with it and do a few thin layers, it'll turn out just as good as an airbrush, or close to. So, let's get to priming. I've made myself a totally professional painting handle for the weapons for my Grey Knights, which I also forgot to mention that I had quite a few Grey Knights that I needed to prime too. They'll hopefully eventually get their own video on painting them. But a professional grade painting handle. You'll love to see it. So I got everything primed black. Now I'm going to hit it with some Rust-Oleum flat white as a zenithal for everything. Hopefully I don't entirely mess this up. And everything on the tray right now will be good to go. And I have a heirloom white, which was their closest to Wraithbone, and I'll zenithal the Tyranid with that. There, that's everything primed, kind of haphazardly zenithaled, and ready to go. The next part should be a matter of getting these two painted. The Grey Knights will get painted at some point. They're more or less just a little kind of work in progress. Not my priority. Now that everything's primed, we can get into painting. My Tyranid recipe is fairly simple. I like to use Naggaroth Knight for the armor plates, Wraithbone to dry brush over top of that and touch anything up, Striking Scorpion contrast for all of these weird little open bits and in the joints. Barbarian Flesh for the wing membranes. Then I put Agrax Earthshade over all of the Wraithbone parts. A little bit of Warlock Purple that's actually pink for the tongue. And only the finest no-name Amazon paint for the talons and the weapons, and usually the big horn on the head, and for the hooves. So it's fairly straightforward and simple. So let's get into it. Well, I got my first layer of purple down before I realized that the camera wasn't on. But what I'm kind of going for, I'm not, like I said in the last video, I'm not here to make an art piece. At the moment, I just usually shoot for game ready and then some, maybe. Also, because of the magnet underneath, I can use my nicest professional paint handle, which is an old 7/8 3/4 drive deep socket, and it's working surprisingly well. Alright, so there's the wing membranes finished with the Magos purple in the creases. Except for that big spot that I blatantly missed, but we elect to ignore that. Next up, we'll use the no-name Amazon paint to do all the talons and the claws, and it's getting pretty close. Okay, so the big issue with my cheap Amazon red is that it's very thick as these types of paints go. So you just got to be good about watering it down or thinning it out quite a bit. Once you do that, it goes on half okay. So I guess we'll start working our way through all the red. Well, I ended up not really recording it, but we got the red for the most part done on this guy. It's starting to take shape. I tried my hand. Focus. There. Tried my hand and had a bit of a glaze on the horn. Came out very, very subtle. Incredibly so. But the next step is just the last few little details throughout this guy. Dry brush. Do the base. And the Tyranid Prime will be done. So I went ahead and got a little bit more done with the green and added some shade to the Wraithbone bits and painted the base black. Now we'll do a little bit more dry brushing and then mix up some texture paste And that'll be this guy done. Alright, so I got the dry brushing done. And now on to making up some texture paste. Take this old container and some good river sand that I got for free from work. Make sure you crush up or take out any of the bigger chunks or leave them in. I'm not your boss. Yeah, good enough. Then you take your good old Malwart white paint. And just keep squeezing it until your ancestors tell you to stop. And then you take your worst brush and just start mixing it. You can really do this with any color to get whatever texture you're going for. Oh yeah. And it helps if you keep hitting your little camera stand. Yeah. Could use a little bit more sand. So don't actually measure, just add. We're going for something kind of in between a batter and a dough. Yeah. And all we're going to do, take a good glob, just do what feels right. I find stippling it kind of helps. Also, don't pay attention to your camera when you're doing this. You know what? What a, in the words of a much wiser man than me, that's not just good, that's good enough. Now we just paint the rim black, and that'll be it for this guy. So now to paint our captain. I can't give you guys a solid color scheme like I could with our Tyranid, because to be perfectly honest, the kill team that I did, I think I ended up doing the yellow different on almost every single one of them. So we're just gonna kind of shoot from the hip and see what happens, as long as it's yellow of some description. Good enough. Can work on making everything cohesive at an eventually point. So my goal with this one is pretty much just fail upwards. Should be good. So we took some time and got the yellow more or less kind of blocked out and the black blocked out. And I starting to get a better idea for kind of the recipe I want to go with. I think I'll keep touching up the yellow some more, kind of letting the layers dry. Mostly in, if it'll focus, that spot there. Kind of crisp up some other stuff, and then I'll start doing some details, and then it'll be done. So I got a little distracted and only marginally forgot to record. I got quite a bit more done. Like a lot bit more done. I'm not fantastic at freehanding, but I guess next I'm going to tackle the little chapter emblem. For that, I got this. It's hard to see with these stencils. They're meant to be used on with an airbrush, but I've just been using them with regular brushes. If you're curious, I got these off of Etsy from Rare Candy Creations. Shout out that guy. But as you can see, the stencils, you're supposed to pull this little piece out, then set that on it, airbrush it in, peel it off. But I've basically been doing the opposite, using that little piece over the yellow and then going over it with black. And same but different. And then I inevitably peel some paint up while I'm doing it and have to freehand bits in. But that's what I get for doing it kind of wrong. Now we're starting on the base. As you can see, I had to attempt to freehand a little bit. I'm not terribly good at it. Oddly enough, though, I think that one on the little chest shield almost turned out the exact opposite direction of this one. Huh. Look at that. I totally planned that. Yeah. Did a little bit of highlighting on the cape. Again, I'm not terribly good at it yet. And as for why I've been highlighting their capes red, I have no idea. I just thought it looked neat and kept doing it. Yeah, I'll come back when the base is finished. Alright, got the base finished. Quickly just did up the Screamer Killer head like I do the other Tyranids. Like I said, now I'm going to compare these two to some of the other ones I did. I guess we'll start with the Prime. To this little guy. As long as they kind of feel like they should go together. So that was my goal. And this warrior, yeah, they more or less look right together. I'm happy with how this one turned out. And the Terminator. Kind of like the Scythe. I like it. And beside the Kill Team Sergeant. I decided to make this guy give him the white helmet like a veteran. And the Kill Team Sniper. I think I like the Sniper slightly more, which is weird because normally I usually like the heavy version of something more than the kind of stealthy, but yeah, I don't know. I still really like my Sniper. But that is kind of the two commanders from the starter set done. And I guess in the next video we'll pick something from the box and work our way through it. But I hope you guys tune in for that next time.